disposition, trait, or habit of being cheerful despite the situation. Now, what does the Bible say about humor or laughter? In Proverbs chapter 17 and verse 22, you have heard it. It says, a joyful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. The King James Version renders it, a merry heart, good like medicine. Here is another text. In Genesis 21 and verse 6, English Standard Version. Sarah said, God has brought me laughter, and everyone who hears about this will laugh. She was past childbearing age, and God smiled at her and brought happiness and laughter to her. A powerful text indeed. Now, the meaning of humor was further expanded to include behavior deviating from social norms. And the term entered the field of the comic to describe the object or target of laughter. So, a humorist originally meant an odd character whose peculiarities were the appropriate subject of laughter by the person of humor. So this is where it took a turn. Now, humor and wit became to be seen as talents in the ability to make others laugh. That is one aspect of it. Now, and this is very important as we look at this, because there are many persons who find this very controversial, because how could humor be a part or a strength for character development? Now, it is very important that while one should not poke fun at those who were simply odd, it was permissible to laugh at the pompous, the unreal, the fake, or conceited. So if somebody, is odd because they are different because of many and very different reasons, you should not take it upon you to poke fun at that person because the person is different, probably the person is deformed, or probably no. But it takes it to a level where he says, for person who tend to be pompous, unreal, fake, or conceited, then you can poke some fun at them. Of course, even a serious person could hold views that others might see as ridiculous. And one means of verifying the reasonableness of one's views was to expose oneself to a test of ridicule. And we are going to see how certain phrases develop. Now, it's very important. Good humor was the sovereign attitude of exposing oneself to criticism and mockery of others. Now, Schmidt, Hidden, in 1963, noted that this may be the genesis of the phrase sense of humor, having a sense of humor. That means learn to laugh at yourself. Don't take everything too seriously. There must be a time when you can, some person says, let down your hair for those who have hair, and long glowing hair. and laugh about issues. Laugh. You know, rigidity is something that you have to try to break away from because there are benefits from you being humorous. Now, it speaks of the ability to laugh at one's misfortunes or at one's own one's own expense. So you can laugh at yourself sometimes. And it is said that individuals with this strength would strongly endorse the following. Here are they. Whenever my friends are in a gloomy mood, I try to tease them out of it. You know, we have some funny persons around sometimes too, just to create laughter. When was the last time you had a laugh until you had stitches? You feel it in your belly. I welcome the opportunity to brighten someone else's day with laughter. We need more of that. Most people would like to say, I am fun to be with. Yes? You have heard that? I try to add some humor to whatever I do to bring some laughter. I can usually find something to laugh or joke about, even in trying circumstances. Now, there are benefits um, to have humor. Now, it is often said that humor can diffuse tension. Humor can diffuse tension. Humor can be an opportunity for new relationships. You know, somebody use humor as the catchy phrase or the introductory thing to break down the barrier to start a conversation. Humor can bring us closer to God. Yeah? Do you believe that? Humor can bring us closer to God. Now, if we were made in the image of God and we have fun, then I believe that God loves fun and he also has a sense of humor. That's my belief. Anyway. Now, humor can be used to make others feel good. Yes? To gain intimacy or to buffer stress. Humor can do that. Humor, yes, humor activities result in increased feelings of emotional well being and optimism. These are some things. Humor, humor activities result in um, in increased feelings of emotional well-being and optimism. So we need to experience a little more humor and laughter as we go. That is it for our presentation this evening. Next week we will look on spirituality, the final component of transcendence as we deal with the whole matter of the pillars of character development. Here is your question as we prepare to break for our Bukatan or values rather, and our next special, then we will have our Bukatan lady. You know, I always try to bring on the Bukatan lady prematurely, but you will understand. So are here is a question. I'm going to ask you one question, and I want you to put that in there. I'm going to test your wit this this evening. All right. We look at the whole matter of humor, how important that is, and I just want you to tell me um, two benefits, two benefits of humor, two benefits, positive benefits of humor. Type that in, and they will ensure that you get your prize. We will be right back after the break. Stay with us. And during that time, we are going to have our value proposition, after which we will have another song by Brother Meeks.
Hi everyone, my name is Alina. I am from Canada and I was asked to speak about the benefits of laughter today. So laughter has a lot of benefits, both physical, mental, and social. So for the physical benefits, it triggers a release of endorphins in your brain, which are the natural feel-good chemicals. It also helps with your cardiovascular health, so it helps with your heart by improving the function of blood vessels and by increasing blood flow. It also boosts your immune system and relaxes muscles as well as dulls pain to a certain degree. Mentally, it helps you relieve stress, it helps you with your anxiety, and it helps let go of anger and forgive quicker, which I think is really cool. It also improves mood and adds joy to life. Socially, it helps you create a stronger bond with the people around you when you laugh together, when you have fun and humor. And it also helps diffuse conflict. As Proverbs 17:20 says, "A joyful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones." So seek out humor and live well.
I'm trying hard not to think you unkind, but Heavenly Father, if you know my heart, sure you can read my mind. Good people underneath a sea of grief. Some get up and walk away, and some will find ultimate relief. Home free, eventually, at the ultimate healing, we will be home free, home free. I've got a feeling, at the ultimate healing, we will be home free. Out in the corridors we pray for life, a mother for her baby, a husband for his wife. Oh, sometimes the good die young, it's sad but true. And while we pray for one more heartbeat, the real comfort is with you. You know, pain has little mercy, suffering's no respecter of age, or race or position. I know every prayer gets answered, but the hardest one to pray is what to come. Oh Lord, not mine, but thy will be done. Oh, let it be. Oh, I'm going home. Oh, we will be home free. Gonna be home free. Oh, at the ultimate healing, we will be home free. Home free. It's more than a feeling. like a feeling at the ultimate peak. We will be home free.
Thank you very much, Brother Meeks. Home free. One of these days, we will be home free. Thank you very much for singing for us so ably. We are so delighted for the value proposition, and we welcome those who have joined us after the welcome was given. We are delighted to have you, those who are on Facebook, YouTube, joining us on this program, Think It Through with Pastor Harvey, the program that educates, inspires, and motivates. Well, we're ready for the Bukatan lady. She's always here, on time, committed, ready to go, fired up, and I don't know what she has on her mind. So take it away, Sister Bukatan lady. Terine, it is your moment, it is your time.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Bukatan segment. I am so excited. Did you enjoy reading the assignment this week? I certainly did. Before we get into things, though, I want to congratulate last week's winner, which was Kyle. Good job. And you have been on your winning streak. And keep it going, my friend. Keep it going. All right. So your assignment was from this book, the book Education. And the chapter was chapter 27, entitled Deportment. Deportment. And I enjoyed reading this chapter particularly because it really honed in on respect instead of just artificial standards and being fake. It is talking about unselfishness in spirit and gentle grace and the true essence of politeness. So, my question for you this evening, and remember what the rules are. You will go to the chat and you will click on my name, which is Therine, and hopefully you can click on my name, and you will answer the question directly to me. Okay? So, this is the question. According to the chapter entitled Deportment in the book Education, according to the chapter, what is the essence of true politeness? So, the essence of true politeness is, what is the essence of true politeness? All right, I'll be waiting. Wow, I see the answers coming in. Wow. Okay, now for next week, wow, I see that some of you are reading. You are reading, and it seems like you know the chapter word for word. Okay, next week, we're switching things up and we're going back to our favorite book, Messages to Young People. And we are going to be going to the chapter entitled The Science of Living. The Science of Living. Sounds intriguing, right? So if you have this particular copy, it's chapter 71. If not, then just go to the chapter entitled The Science of Living. And I'll also post where you can access the book online in the chat and on our YouTube chat as well. So you can get it online. If not, you can also download the book from the EG White app, available on all iPhones and Android phones. And finally, your reading tip for this evening is to stay within your attention span. Have you ever been reading and your mind just wander off even though your eyes are looking at the page? That means that you have gone beyond your attention span. And that's okay. Know what your attention span is, stay within it, and then you gradually work to increase it. Go and do something else and then come back and read a little bit more. And that will help you to get a lot more out of what you're reading. All right, so Next week, your assignment is from this book, Messages to Young People, and I can post a link to the reading in the chat as well. Now, congratulations to all who won this evening as well. Take care.
Thank you very much. There you have the Bookatan lady, excited as usual. Well, we're going to be taking a break from you. And during the break, we are going to be hearing some of the Vox Pop clips on the whole matter of hygiene and its impact on relationships. Stay tuned, hit that like button, subscribe and share. We will be back for the discussion section. In that segment, it's gonna be hot.
The topic being discussed is hygiene and how it impacts or practicing good hygiene can increase one's confidence and self-esteem. Being clean and well-groomed can help you feel more confident and comfortable around friends, family, associates, and also your spouse. Practicing good hygiene can also improve health. Good hygiene is crucial to good overall health and wellness because it helps lower the risk for diseases. Infections, such as those caused by a female wiping from front to back after using the bathroom instead of back to front, along with illnesses and medical conditions caused by the effects of poor hygiene. This saves you, your spouse, and family from additional medical bills.
Hygiene is important in a relationship. Hygiene can be good. If you have a good hygiene, it enhances the relationship. If you have a bad hygiene, it destroys the relationship. It helps to destroy it. Now, if I should have a bad hygiene for myself, if I don't take care of myself properly, I don't feel good in myself. My skin starts to scratch me, my head scratching me, and my body starts to smell. So, and I don't like to smell myself in a bad odor. I love to feel fresh, smell good. So I would go and refresh myself, do the necessaries to make myself clean, and that makes me feel good. When someone comes beside me who has a bad hygiene, the natural thing is to move away. And you don't want that kind of bad odor. So you tend to move away from it. Now COVID come to tell us that hygiene is very important. A good hygiene, that is very important. So even the Bible tells you that you should prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospereth. And that also is encouraging good hygiene. So hygiene is important in a relationship. It enhances it if it's good. If it's bad, it tends to destroy it. It breaks it down. So I believe a good hygiene is important in a relationship. Thank you.
If you are suffering from poor personal hygiene, it is time to take a break and correct it, because you are torturing your partner or someone you are with in a relationship. The answer to this is obviously that money is good. If you bring in money, the woman will enjoy it, the man will enjoy it. If you bring in care, everybody love care. Everybody love to be loved. But you love the person, but the person find it inconveniencing to share intimate moments with you. And you will be wondering,
there you have it. There you have it. Well, this is the time when we are going to delve into our discussion, and we want to hear you have listened to the different individuals sharing their opinions on the whole matter of hygiene and its impact on relationships. What say you? What is your understanding of the whole matter of hygiene? What is your take on it? Do you agree that it can be deleterious? It can be devastating. It can destroy a relationship. Tell me, what are some of those areas that you think people need to pay attention to as we deal with this whole matter of hygiene and relationships? And remember now, we are not just talking about a relationship between two persons who are intimately in love with each other. We are talking about relationship. It could be parent-child relationship. It could be siblings relationship. It could be work relations. It doesn't matter. We are looking on relationship on a wide scale. The scope is wide, and then we can narrow in that to the whole matter of intimacy. So let's go, and I need to hear from you. What is your take about this whole mood? Do you think hygiene is very important to the whole matter of building positive relationships? Unmute your mic and go ahead. We need to hear from you. Go ahead, Sashini.
Good evening, Pastor. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I think, not I think, I believe personal hygiene has a great impact on every relationship, whether it's personal, like romantic or work, or even at school with your friends or so on. As human beings, before we get to know someone, the first thing we know about each other is our physical attributes. Whether we find the person attractive, not necessarily in a romantic way, you could just easily see somebody and think the person just looks nice. And of course, how the person smells and stuff like that. And first impressions last as well. So when we meet persons, however it is that they are presented to us initially, that's how we'll always remember them. And so because of this, it doesn't matter in what setting we are in, whether it's at work, whether it's at church, whether it's at school, on the bus, because on the bus, yes, Pastor, because sometimes persons want to sit on the public transportation and they have their hand over and them arm out and they don't smell so nice. And sometimes the man them want gear talk, but them not smell good. And stuff like that happen. And we meet people and that's how we make friends. So not every relationship is close. Some people are associates. It could be a neighbor up the road that for some reason you guys go to work at the same time every day and you always catch the taxi together. And if it is that, for example, I don't practice proper hygiene, when it's time to take the taxi, the neighbor might all start saying, Lord God, I don't really want to go in the taxi, because the lady here, she don't use deodorant on her arm, So it does impact our relationships no matter what, because we want people's experiences with us to be pleasant. But they can't listen to what we're saying. They can't get to know us because all they're focusing on is the smell of our armpits, the smell of our breath, our body odor, or they're seeing the flaking in the hair, stuff like that. So it's hard to get past those things.
Okay, thank you very much Thank you very much, Sashini, for your contribution. I see seahorse, unicorn, your time. Okay. That hand was raised. We don't see that hand again, so we will continue. We cannot overemphasize the importance of hygiene. You mentioned the different areas, so we say be it at in the home, at church, at school, at play, on the bus, on the bus. So we are going to come back to some of those, and we're going to start with looking at grooming after we take this individual seahorse unicorn. Go ahead.
Good night, everyone. I do believe that hygiene is very important, no matter the relationship. However, my biggest take from even us having the topic when it says relationships, whether it be personal or with your friends or an intimate type, is if we do have a problem with someone in our lives that we consider close and they have a hygiene problem, and we stop talking to that person without actually addressing the issue, it's not just a hygiene issue we're looking at. It is us caring about the other individual. Us, do they matter enough where we're allowing them to keep going out there with this hygiene problem? So it's not just whether their grooming is off, but if we can definitely help them, like she just mentioned that woman, that neighbor, that possibly going in that taxi. What if that neighbor actually, she is using deodorant, however, her body odor with that deodorant is not very good. And therefore, whenever she thinks it's fine, because she put on, like she had deodorant this morning, she put it on. However, by the time she got to the taxi, it didn't work with her body. So in that sense, are we saying that, oh, we should just cut that person off because, or not talk to them, or, treat them negatively simply because of their hygiene issue? Or are we willing to address this issue with them?
Thank you very much. That's a very important point. So you are saying, and I'm getting you to be saying that we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility, but most often persons are not courageous enough to to really say what the situation is, depending on how the person is going to take it. Because, for example, a person has a bad breath, and how are you going to tell? You have to muster some tact so that you're able to say, man, because sometimes when some person come up and talking to you, then sometimes you look to the side, or you look to the next side, or you look up in the air, or you hold down your head because you don't want the person to feel embarrassed by the whole thing. But that's another thing. We will come back to that. We have a responsibility. I heard you are saying we have a responsibility to talk to the person in a way that we can help the person, if the person is willing to be helped. I think we'll come back to that, but it's a very important point. Very important point. We're going to take Tashina at this time. Go ahead, Tashina.
Good night, everyone. I agree with my sister who just spoke. We do have a responsibility, and while it is a sensitive matter to deal with hygiene, as you know, it is definitely something that we need to talk about. And so we forums like this now where we can, open up and discuss a little bit more about it, and how to speak with the other person about it, because sometimes it's really you have to also realize that there are issues too why people can experience or are experiencing poor hygiene. Sometimes it's health issues, sometimes it's from drug abuse, sometimes even during pregnancy for women. You're not at your peak, you've gained weight, and your hormones have changed and so on. So it's not necessarily that persons just while there are persons who do it, just go out and didn't wash up properly or just smells horrible. There are health issues that can lead to poor hygiene. So it's a matter of how do we educate persons to talk to somebody, you know um first of all, come from a place of compassion, especially if you don't know what's happening in that person's life. Come from a place of compassion. Don't insult, because if you insult the person, they're just going to stay away from you, or you're just going to drive them away. Be specific. Don't go and say, boy, you always smell bad or something like that, to just bring the person down. Yes, you may have smelt the person on a number of occasions, but you just want to say, listen, this is really hard for me to say, but I really love you, and I just have to say, you know I've noticed that this is happening with you. I'm not sure if you're aware of it, but as your friend or as your parent, as your mother, or so on, I just want to, tell you that this is something that you need to look into. And let's say it's a deodorant or it's an arm issue, and you might suggest some or recommend something. I prefer to use this kind of deodorant because I find that when I perspire, I don't get the same kind of stuff or things like that. But come from a place of compassion, because we never know at times what people are going through, why certain things are coming off. So if even though it's a very, very sensitive matter, we do have a responsibility, because this is our neighbor. Anybody, anywhere we are, it's our neighbor. We are always the neighbor, really. So that makes everyone around us. We have to be that neighbor to reach out to this person and say, listen, I'm here for you if you need any help. Sometimes it's affordability issues, I can do so and so. But don't just buy a deodorant and leave it on the person's desk or something like that. The person might not take it. We have to find a way to deal with these things. And if we come from a place of compassion, I think we can reach the person, even if the person is upset at first. Maybe later on, when they settle down, they say, boy, yes, this is a problem. And I'm sure they'll deal with it. It would have to be a really stubborn person to just continue as is, having been spoken about it. So that's my bit right
Okay.
now.
Thank you very much for that. And I heard you clearly. Come from a position of compassion. And I like the phraseology that you use. You may not be aware that this is a concern. You may not be aware that this is a concern. So I am going to speak to you on a matter out of sincerity, and I want you to take it for what it is. And we have to find a way, as I said, to be tactful in getting it out there. We know we operate within a culture where the patois language is very aggressive. It comes with a lot of venom. So we have to be very careful as we try to deal with that. All right, hear from Damien. Go ahead, Damien.
Yes, none of us is an island by ourselves, and we need people to get through life, to survive in life. And so, having a good hygiene is very important to build good and healthy relationship with people, not only with people, with even with God. I remember in Exodus, or somewhere in the Old Testament, where the Lord was going to come down on a mountain to visit the Israelites, and they were instructed to wash up themselves and to clean up themselves, because he was going to come down. And so, to have a healthy relationship with anyone at all, whether it's people, with God, good hygiene is important. And hygiene too, we can look at it in terms of pollution. Sometimes when people smoke a lot, take crack, and if you even pollute your own body, it can affect our relationship with God. you break relationship. Even that too can be looked upon as being as poor hygiene. Persons who smoke a lot, that's hygiene. Persons who drink a lot of alcohol, things like these will break your relationship with even God, affect relationship with God. For God to dwell in a holy or clean vessel. So that's how I'm looking at it right now.
Thank you very much for that perspective, Damian. And you have brought a very important perspective to the conversation. You are saying that hygiene, also poor hygiene, can negatively affect your relationship with God. As one person typed in there, it says cleanliness. My mother always says, here it is in the chat, is next to godliness. So we have to be clean. When the people were coming up, as you have rightly said, he told them, wash your clothes or sanctify yourself, be pure, be clean, because you're entering into the presence of the Lord. It's very good. And we heard earlier where someone spoke about the whole matter of the impact of hygiene on one's health. And if you have poor health, that will also affect your interpersonal relationships. So it is very important as we go into the discussion. So we're talking about and grooming is very important. And I want you to give me your take on this. Grooming is very important. So when we talk about grooming, we're talking about all aspects. The way you present yourself. Now, I can't forget this. There was this gentleman. I will not say where. This gentleman, he lost a number of his teeth. And I remember one person, sometimes you watch those video clips on television, and they always tend to find those kind of person to highlight and to get comments from them because of how they look. They have lost a number of their teeth, and they tend to picture those. And I remember one person said, man, when God made man mouth, he made man mouth to have teeth. So if you lose your teeth, you need to get false teeth, because kissing comes by flavor and not favor. And this is a whole matter of hygiene. Kissing comes by flavor and not favor. So not because you're in a relationship, you feel that you're entitled to a kiss. If you have bad breath, you must work on it. And sometimes, as was said, it can be triggered by a number of reasons. But you have to do what you can. Brush your teeth, brush your tongue, drink water, make sure that you floss, you take care of your mouth so that the breath will not be obnoxious to the point where people is obligated to kiss you. No, kissing must be spontaneous, and it is with flavor and not a favor. So you need to get that in there. Grooming, again, what say you? You have persons who will bathe and put on the same underpants. You can't bathe and put on the same underpants. The odor is still going to be there. You can't, there are some folk who say, well, I don't bathe on Sabbath. You have heard that? People say, I don't bathe on Sabbath. And what do you think about that? Do you think that's a hygiene issue and that people should address it? Let me hear from you. What do you think? Tell us.
My pastor.
Yes, sir. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
I think it's downright. Um, I don't want to use words that are too
No, no,
strong.
no. Yeah, just fix the word. Just
But
say
but
nice.
I think that it's not right. It's not right. I'm putting it mildly. I'm saying it's not right. When we think about it, we have to understand a lot of people who comes with that theory, they're coming from Ellen White writings
Where?
and from Ellen White writings, and they don't understand the context of the writing. Because what was happening in the day was that the people were going to stand pipe carrying water on top of their head, bring it being a bird on the Sabbath. And she said, listen, instead of doing this on the Sabbath, hear what? Just hold a shower after the Sabbath is over. But today we have water running in our pipe. We have water running in our pipes. It's no excuse for nobody not to get a shower before they leave home for church or on any given day at all. We have water running in our pipes. And so a lot of people say, I'm not going to bathe because it's Sabbath, I must bathe on the Sabbath. Pastor, it is absurd and it is unbecoming of a Christian. Cleanliness is godliness. It is not next to godliness. It is actually godliness.
Okay, we heard you. So, is it okay? Is it okay? Is it okay? What is I don't know, but this can be problematic. And there are some things that we have to relate to as it relates to hygiene, is that hygiene does not only affect the individual with these poor hygiene practices, but it affects those within the environment. And we should always remember that we have an obligation. So it is self awareness, self control, yes, social awareness, and relationship management. These are some things that we have to pay attention to as we go along. So, grooming takes a lot of stuff and it takes in a lot of things to make sure that you present yourself in a way that you can be attractive and you can present yourself as a complete package. Because even I have seen, and I don't know, but I have seen where persons don't even spend a lot of time looking on how their fingernails. So you will have some persons with some long fingernails and they go out and they have all kind of that can also present some negatives. We have to look also. What about those? And I don't know. I don't know. You can tell me because people are different. Because a lot of hair on your face and all of those places, don't you think that can affect hygiene in some way? What do you think? And what are some of the hindrances that you see this?
That's true.
Okay. Gabidan, you said that's true. What else you want to say on that? What is true? How do you relate to hygiene with those going to school? What role you think that should play? Okay, he just said that's true. So he is in agreement. Now we need to hear from you. What is your take on this? And what are some recommendations that you would want to make? Damien, go ahead, Damien.
Yes, sir. I've often heard that when persons have hair on the armpit and other parts of their body, it's like it's not hygienic. But I don't think I don't agree with that in the sense that your person's hair doesn't make a person not hygienic. If a person's arm or somewhere smell, I think the person maybe that person is not really hygienic. Maybe that person is not cleaning certain parts properly. But the hair on a person's face or wherever it is, it doesn't it doesn't determine, it doesn't say that the person is not hygienic because the person have hair. The person can have the hair and still it doesn't smell. It's just how the person groom it and take care of himself. But hair on it by itself doesn't make a person um non-hygienic. You know.
Okay, thank you very much. And I hope you did not get that from what I said when I mentioned about hair on the face. I'm talking about grooming, and that is what I'm saying, where people have people carry beards, people carry different hair, but I'm talking about the grooming and how it is kept. That is very important. So it is presentable and in a manner that it doesn't pose any hazard. Go ahead, Tashina.
Okay, Pastor. As my brother was speaking about the hair on the face, there can be different perspective on that. Personally, I prefer a clean shave. I don't like a lot of hair on the face for my husband. I prefer a clean shave. Um, the Bible speaks in First Corinthians 6 verse 19 that our bodies are temples of the Lord. I saw that posted in the group as well. And in Third John 1 verse 12, beloved, I wish above all things that you may prosper and be in good health. And these verses helps help us to understand as well that our personal hygiene is important, and there are negatives and positives when it comes to hygiene. If you take, for instance, bad breath, if you're in a relationship, and we're in relationships on different levels, if it's intimate and it's bad breath, the impact is going to be negative. It means that there's going to be no kissing, no cuddling. Your partner will withdraw from you because your breath is not up there. And so you need to, as you said, take care of it, take care of your health. Brush, floss, go to the dentist, and such things. There are other things too, like keeping the home um clean. An unkempt house is just poor as well. No one wants to be in a dirty place, where disease or viruses, especially in times like these, just plaguing the place. um so you need to ensure that your home is kept clean, it is swept, it is um cleaned, washed, whatever it is that will keep your furniture is dusted, so that all that dust doesn't stay there and build up and then affect your respiratory system or such, or other things. And so that when you look at, I know that it's kind of taboo. Sometimes we don't talk about even our intimate parts in keeping those areas clean as well. That you need to practice good hygiene, not just on the externals, but also those private parts that are important to be washed, to be kept clean, you know to be kept smelling fresh, especially if you're in a marriage relationship, because that can cause harm if it is not done to the marriage, that people go outside or reject their spouse or withdraw from their spouse because they don't want to deal with that situation. And so we come back to what I suggested earlier, that we come from a place of compassion where we are saying, there is a responsibility on our part where we notice that there's poor hygiene, to assist the people, especially the folks who are close to us, because we find that that is very difficult, that sometimes it's somebody else out there will have to tell the person that you're right there with your spouse that your mouth don't smell so well, or so. It should not be that. It should be us coming from that place of compassion. Yeah.
Thank you very much. It is so important as we deal with this whole matter of good hygiene, because and it goes in the workplace, as was mentioned, at home, at school, at church. We have that responsibility to help. Tereen, what is going on in the chat and on the other social media platform? Tell us what is happening.
All right, sir. The thing is that the chat has run away because so much is happening. However, some people also shared that in addition to just, general principles about hygiene and how to share with somebody if, um, trying to be tactful and polite as usual, some people also wanted practical tips on hygienic um, practices. And so from the YouTube, we see here that somebody said use baking soda if you can't afford roll on. Somebody else said bad breath can come from the stomach, so try taking a laxative. And here in the group, we see Sister Simone. She says that, let me just read exactly what she says. Do you know that hygiene and smell is cultural? I've met persons from other cultures where the stronger the smell, the more attractive the male is to the female. Mm. And also, Seahorse Unicorn also relates. She says, at Simone Same, met a girl that sat naked on a bathroom locker floor. She felt it was okay. I was horrified. So all of these things are cultural. And I reply to Sister Simone and says, I know what you mean. When in Rome, do what?
We don't sure. We don't sure that will definitely create some tension, and that is where we have it, where we talk about the whole matter of social awareness, and that would come in right there where Sister Elder Thomas is talking about culture, because social awareness is something that we have to take into consideration as we relate to the person. So there will be some cognitive distortion there, cognitive distortion, because what we are accustomed to and what we are socialized to accept may be different, and that can put challenge. So that is another thing for intermarriage, dealing with different culture. That can also be something, but we cannot overemphasize the importance of good hygiene and some of the tips that were given as to how we can help to preserve some of those. And again, we live in a culture now where, and this is not bashing anybody, because it is different. So when we talk about hair, if not like mine hair, and you have other hair, you have to make sure that you wash it as often. Though it can be expensive, they will tell you, those persons with long hair, you should ensure that you wash it, because that can also affect you. I have seen persons most time then just doing a thing like this and then hitting, and right away it tells me that something is wrong. Something is wrong there. So you have to be aware of that. And remember, somebody talked earlier about scratching. Remember, once it starts itching, it's it means that you need to pay attention to it and go at that. And remember, always remember, as I said, you are not just thinking about yourself, but you're thinking about those within your scope. We have 7 minutes to go, and so we want you now to begin to tell me, um, knocking out your brain. I don't know about that, Ryan. I want you to tell me, what are some of the recommendations you would make. For example, you know that this person has this problem, but you are not sure how the person will respond if you tell the people the truth. There are some persons who don't like the truth. Um, Give us some tips as to how you think that can be addressed, because it's a matter that we have to try. Heard that we have an obligation. We should go from the point of compassion. We should, be tactful as we do that. But what about those who are not willing to respond? How should you deal with that? Somebody, do you write them a private letter? What is it? Tell us how you would approach it. Anyone? Go ahead. We want to hear from some of the experienced folks, senior folks that we have. We have some senior folk. Just tell us some recommendations, some of the things that you would suggest even to young people who are entering into relationships and all of those things. Go ahead. Go ahead, Brother Fred.
Yes, sir. I would ask a person a question. Maybe it could be rhetorical, but I would have said to him, "Tell me something. Say, for instance, I have an odor, or coming from my mouth, or the arm. It doesn't matter how I bathe, it's still on. What would you recommend for me?" And the person would come up and say something, and I would say, "Well, I know somebody who had that problem, and I gave the person that same remedy, and it worked." But up to now, we are not saying that, this person, we are saying it that this person had it, because maybe the person don't even know that he or she is suffering from such condition. But if it is from the mouth, you could say, "Tell me something. What type of toothpaste you use? It smells nice." And he might say that, "I don't even use toothpaste." I say, "Well, I have one. I'm going to give it to you, and you would tell me how it works. You would tell me how it works when you see me next time. And I also have a bottle of mouthwash. I'm going to give you too."
Okay. All right, Brother Fred. I thank you. But you raise a point there. You raise a point which is something that, we have to pay attention to. And that is, genuinely, the person may not know. The person may be so accustomed to that aroma that it becomes the norm. So the person don't know that this is a challenge, and that is where feedback comes in, and it is very important that it's addressed. I saw somebody else wanted to make a point. Go ahead and share. We have a few minutes to go quickly as we take your contribution. It's very important because it is a matter. We have an obligation. Come from a point of compassion. You heard that? We should be tactful, and we have a responsibility. So we need to see.
Mommy, is what they were talking about.
It's very important that we do that. Go ahead, Damien.
Yes, sir. We could keep seminars on hygiene impact in our workplace, in our schools, even our communities. Let's keep some seminars so that persons can be aware of the impact of the environment.
Hey, you're breaking up a little there, Damien. Sorry about that. We have lost him there. But brothers and sisters, anyone else would like to share? Finally, before we have to put the wrap, we have 2 minutes to go. But I believe it is something that we have to pay attention to. We have to try to sensitize those we interface with as to the importance of good hygiene, because not only does it affect the individual where health is concerned, it affects interpersonal relationships. Not only that, it can affect the health of other persons. We cannot overemphasize, as was mentioned, the importance of cleanliness, keeping your environment clean, your surrounding clean. Make sure that, and with COVID, you have heard it, proper sanitization is key. I feel the washing of hands, it is good to have good grooming, cut your fingernails, because when you have long nails, it can harbor germ underneath that. Keep your fingernails at a level so that they are clean and kept clean. Especially if you know you have to cook with that. So you have to make sure that your hands are clean, and that therefore that which you provide will will be healthy for those who will participate. And remember, we have an obligation, and not only to each other, but we have heard that God also, a poor hygiene can affect our relationship with God, as we have seen encounters in the Bible that were even brought to our attention, that we should try to maintain excellent hygiene. Even going into the sanctuary where we have to interface with other persons, we want you to keep that in mind, so that you make sure that other persons coming to worship, there is no distraction, there is no hindrance to the person's praise as they offer their praise in the sanctuary. Make sure that they can come and have an environment that is conducive to worship, so that they don't have to be looking down or looking sideways, but they can greet you in a way because you're taking care of your health. And if there is anyone who should practice good hygiene, it ought to be Christian people. Well, you know your obligation to God, to yourself, and to others. So it is very important as we go. So we trust that this has been very beneficial to us. We thank you for joining and for sharing. We want healthy relationships. We want relationships that blossom and grow. Remember, people have a blind side. Everybody has a blind side. That is why they need feedback. So give your feedback in a tactful way, from a position of compassion. You have heard that. And we have an obligation to those we interface with. Let us do all we can to make sure that everyone within the scope of our influence benefit from that. Next week, remember, we ask you for topics for discussion, and we want you to submit your topics, your questions that you would love for us to discuss. Um, the topic for next week that we're going to be discussing is um, uh, artificial. No, not artificial. It is, oh, the thing slips me. It is, oh, somebody post that in there. I did not write it off. It has to do with, wow. All right. That is why a dull pencil is brighter than the sharpest mind. But it has to do with young ladies in the church, they're here, they don't find a partner, they can't, and they want to have children. So they were asking if, wow, that term just jumped out my head. But we will get to that, and we will share it with you as we go into that. Yes, artificial insemination. That's right. Is it okay for Christian young ladies to participate, or Christians to be involved in artificial insemination? Thank you very much. That is it. And we will discuss that next week. Thanks. Let us bow our heads as we pray. And thanks again for joining us on YouTube, Facebook, and here on Zoom. Let us bow our heads. Father, we thank you so much for another opportunity where you have afforded us to come together to look at issues that can negatively impact our relationship with you and our relationship with each other, and even with ourselves, in terms of good health and the preservation of our environment that will be conducive to foster wholesome and meaningful relationships. Where there is deficiency, we ask that you will help us, that we have an obligation to do what we can to help others who may be affected, so that together we can enjoy optimal health. Thank you for being with us. Thanks for those who have shared and joined us. And we look forward to next week when we will continue. These mercies we ask in Jesus' name.